Welcome to the Performance Collective, where I bring together experts across the running, fitness, and human performance space to share insights, experiences, and practical strategies for improving performance. Hosted by me, Hannah Witt, a USCA certified running coach and athlete success and operations manager, this podcast features conversations with elite athletes, coaches, nutritionists, chiropractors, race directors, and industry leaders. Whether you're chasing a personal best, returning from injury, or looking to better understand the science behind training and recovery, the Performance Collective offers actionable insights to help you train smarter and perform at your best. In today's episode, I'm joined by my former teammate and fellow competitor, Naseem Haje. Naseem and I go back to our time at King University, where we were both part of a program built on potential, consistency, and a shared drive to improve. He later transferred to Adams State to pursue a higher level of competition and a national championship culture. In this episode, we talk about his evolution as a runner, from building mileage the right way to navigating injuries and burnout, and ultimately redefining his relationship with the sport. Naseem now works in the run specialty industry as a territory sales manager and brings a really grounded perspective on training, performance, and finding your why. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Performance Collective, and I'm your host, Hannah Witt, and today we are so honored to have the esteemed Naseem Haje. Welcome, Naseem. And just a little bit about Naseem. We both went to King together. He transferred out, I believe it was your junior year, the start of your junior year. Yeah, so a couple years together at King. That was enough time to get into some shenanigans and have some fun and share some running memories. We both ran on the cross country and track and field teams together. And he has been in the running industry ever since in multiple capacities. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. And so welcome, Naseem.
Cool.
How's it going?
Living the dream here. I'm down in Georgia, but it's a little bit cooler. Still warmer than where I'm living in West Virginia at the time. So anything's a win from that. But yeah, it's been forever. So super glad to be on here, and thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Okay, little snippet. So I remember raging in your dorm room with Evan from West Virginia, and I'm thinking West Virginia, and that just came to mind. But I don't think he was actually from West Virginia, but I was absolutely convinced that he was.
He went to a community college in West Virginia, but where we grew up, it's like in the tri-state area. So we're a stone's throw from West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, where we were in Maryland. So not necessarily wrong.
Yeah, from Hagerstown though, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So you're in West Virginia now. My sister, she actually is a professor at Marshall University. And is that close to you?
Not at all. That's like 6 hours across the state.
I didn't even know there was 6 hours of geography of West Virginia.
I live in this part of West Virginia. She's over.
I'm so glad that you have a graphic. Sweet. So I'm going to have to get my map out because are you close to, would it be New York?
DC.
Wow.
Yeah. So I touched Virginia and Maryland. Yeah. I'm like less than 50 miles from DC.
Okay, cool. So, and you travel a lot, right? For your job. What's your official job title now?
Just a territory sales manager I'm an independent sales rep essentially for a bunch of running goods, and get to work with all the lovely retailers in West Virginia, most of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and DC.
Wow, that is a massive territory. What kind of, I'm thinking about what kind of vehicle you have to manage that. Do you, I don't know, that is a lot of gas.
Toyota, hybrid Toyota, RAV4.
Yeah, I have a Toyota too, but it's not that. I have a Toyota 2008. What is it? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now. It's not very good. Anyway, let's get into running. So we both ran at King College, and then it became King University because something to do with becoming D2 instead of D1.
Yeah, and I think it's how many program courses or something like that. I never really understood the difference between a college and a university, but some semantics.
How did Peter Dalton recruit you?
Yeah, so
Recent?
he found me in high school somehow. I really don't know how or whatever. I'd never heard of King, and I certainly wasn't really good at all in high school. So, he was really, I think, looking for someone. He never really met with me in person, which is different. I mean, I came down for an official visit, but sometimes like coaches will go out and see the athlete, but he was just looking at times, I guess, and I don't know what he was looking for because I wasn't
What do you
necessarily.
talk? What do you talk? You were good in high school.
Not really. I mean, I developed a lot more in college. I think I was just a tick under 10 minutes for 2 miles. So, not really even like a 9:30, like mid level in high school. I was pretty auspicious blue talent guy back
Yeah,
then.
I mean, I think that was his method though, because I wasn't anything to write at home about in high school either. But I think he saw like maybe desperation, maybe potential, maybe academics, all of it together.
Yeah, I think it all had something to do, but I mean, not for nothing, compared to other kids in our classes or around us, we were more so grinders. And I think he really could tell that we had at least able to do that or had a chip on our shoulder or something. I think a little bit with the mentality of it. We both wanted to be or knew we could be more than what we were at in high school or something like that,
I enjoy that theory much more than mine. Chip on the shoulder, something to prove, like spunky. I like that. We'll
Yeah.
go.
That's what Damon Martinet at Adams always got me into. It was always just, I definitely, it resonated with me. A chip on my shoulder. I was always there to try to prove myself. But I think like I know I always wonder how he found me. Like I wasn't closest. You were a lot closer to Bristol and ETSU and stuff, but we didn't even really travel outside of states like our Maryland to race, and we didn't really go to big invites. So I don't know if he was just like
Maybe you were
holy.
just kind of a big deal, and he just saw that. I would
We will go with that. That sounds nicer
yeah,
than
yeah, that makes sense. But I know he found Dixon in Africa, so that was what his method is. But I'm glad that you
yeah.
did have time together. Does Dixon still hit you up like with messages?
Every once in a while, yeah. I think he's like nursing and in the I thought he was in the Baltimore general area. I haven't talked to him in a while. I know at Adams we spoke, and a little bit after when I was living in New Hampshire, we had
Shout
spoke.
out to Dixon Kurgan. He's
Absolutely
an actual rock star. But
yeah, he was so nice. His whole family was super nice.
I remember it was like a really crap rain weather day, and he was like, "Y'all are gonna go." He didn't say y'all. You guys are gonna go running out in this, because he had this like, "I'm gonna protect my body and take care of myself" mentality. I was so used to like running in everything. Like if it's hailing, I'm like, okay, I'll put a hat on. So
Yeah, absolutely, it is what it is.
but when you were at King, I feel like I was basically on the bike a whole bunch of time, and I was injured a bunch of times just with little stuff because I wasn't used to the volume and everything. But I don't remember you ever having any major injuries. I remember you like had pleurisy or something.
Yeah, I got sick. I just had some chest stuff my second year there, but I think that was like honestly, when I had left King, not for nothing, I wanted a little bit more at the time, but I mean, Peter Dalton did awesome with like developing me from like I didn't really have many miles in high school to kind of getting used to college training. When I was in the time, I always wanted to be faster and to take on more of a workload early. But I think that's why I got lucky that I wasn't injured and was able to kind of race throughout. I mean, running, I feel, is nothing super like, I mean, there's a lot of technique and a lot of stuff that's sexy about the training, but just consistency, right? Like if you can get out there and run more healthily, you just stack more volume, you just stack more, and more is better in general speaking. I feel like over a long term of development too. But yeah, I don't remember being too injury prone at King. That came later on towards the end of my college and post collegiate career. But
like, what was your mileage like in high school, and how did it grow?
oh boy, what was my mileage like in high school? I think I was doing like 35 minute runs consistently every day. I think we would call it an easy 10. for a weekend. Like it was a loop, but it was more. I measured it the other day with a car and a GPS. It was like 8 miles. So I don't know how slow we were going that we also thought it was like a quick, like crisp 10 or a slow, high school jog. But I'd say I was consistently around 30, 35 miles. I mean, maybe at the biggest end of things. I was more injured in high school than at King. I'd gotten 2 stress fractures running like 45 miles a week. So I was never would have realized that I would be more of a high mileage guy, but I definitely think Peter got me primed and ready to go, because when we went to Adams, we were averaging like about 100, 110 a week for the 10K crew, 80-mile down week. So it was a lot, but I mean, I think he was very conservative in building up over when I look back at my training from freshman to sophomore year. I think that was definitely a lot of help transitioning from high school where I didn't have much mileage or experience in like strengthening and just doing stuff like that to get my mileage up safely.
What stress fractures did you have in high school?
One in the left tibia, 2 in the left tibia, and then 1 in the I forget which metatarsal, but the left side of metatarsal. One of the left. Yeah. It ended my senior year cross country. And then I think I got one, it would have had to have been junior year. Well, no, it was senior year in indoor track. Like right after that, I kind of jumped back into things too quick. And I lost I made it through most of cross country up until like conferences, and then didn't get to go at the championship stuff, and then kind of jumped back quick for indoor track and didn't make it to the end of the season of that. So it was 2 small ones, but what can you do?
And so when you got to King, I don't remember personally the girls team doing a whole lot in the weight room. I think maybe as we got a little better, we did some weights, but were you guys like secretly in the weight room with Coach?
God no. Most of the team was not. I did a lot of core and like body work stuff, just kind of on my time.
I remember you'd be like in your room living like a monk, eating your rice cakes and like chilling and having Naseem time. And I had like 2 core sessions in my room, and I'm like,
I was so lucky. Like Andrew Div and I were like both. He was so chill of a roommate, and like he would put up with my shenanigans, and like equally he probably had his amount, but it worked well. Like I was a very picky with who I would live with, and I think he might be honestly my best roommate of all time. Like it just somehow worked. But yeah, I think that was a lot of stuff. I didn't do a ton in the weight room stuff. I would use some resistance bands, do a lot of core and hip stuff, which I think I don't know why I would do it, because I would read it on Let's Run and I'm like, well, they do it at Virginia Tech or something, so that's good enough for me, and like would do that.
I'm like you. I'm not saying you're a nightmare to live with because I have no clue, but I'm a nightmare to live with. And Daniel Bove can attest to that. And I was like, yeah, I got to go solo because I have to like save other people from me. It's just a healthier environment for everyone involved. But yeah, did you end up in your sophomore year, were you by yourself or did you?
No, Andrew transferred out, and then I moved into the volleyball house, the men's volleyball house.
That's right. Yeah, you were the volleyball house.
Yeah. I think, as dumb as it sounds, I hated living on campus. I liked King a lot, but dorm communal living is not for me. I like my own hours to go to sleep. I like my own hours. I don't like loud stuff or whatever. And I think it's good. Everyone should learn how to live in a dorm their freshman year, but I got right off of campus when I could. To your point, it's just like, I didn't need more of that.
Yeah, I understand that. I got like out by the tennis courts. That's where
Oh my God, you were out there?
Yeah, that's where because I just need to get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as far as I feel like the volleyball house was. It wasn't far.
Yeah, like equidistant. Yeah, but yeah, the volleyball house, that was crazy. I was just thinking about that before we hopped off. Yeah, you're saying that it was quiet at the volleyball house, and
more often than not, the weekends were rowdy, but we were traveling for running generally then. So like, yeah, they still tried to be. They were still student athletes during the time. They just like, the nutrition was different, all that stuff. So yeah, they were generally, but it was. I don't understand because I do think it was a very party-centric house. And at that time of my life, I was like, dude, this will be awesome. But, as I got to Adams, there was definitely no partying and stuff like that. And I kind of got more serious about it. But I think, it wasn't that loud somehow. Only on weekends. There were some weekends where you're like, I just can't have a party this weekend, man. I got to go to Boone to see Lily. Or I got to go somewhere. But like,
you had to get yourself out because
it's
going to be a party weekend. Like that was
absolute rager. You're just like, oh dear, like I ain't got it in me today. I just don't want to do this, and I just don't want to deal with like other people like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking, I remember Mike, did he like pull a bush out of the ground or
Yeah.
something?
It was genuinely he got involved. I feel like
He got
they're
involved.
ready to rage on like on a weekday night. I was like, oh, I guess I'm sleeping
weekday
somewhere
night.
else tonight.
No, I remember, and I hopefully we won't get. I don't think we get into trouble
We
for this.
won't
But I
max
remember you
plan it too
doing.
much longer.
You did like donuts in the roundabout. Remember? Was it you or was it David? I can't even.
David Smith. It was David Smith.
You're just saying that because you don't.
No, I remember that vague. I remember that.
It was his convertible, and he was like in love with that
Absolutely,
thing.
yeah. Oh my god, and he loved doing that too. He loved that. It was like Danielle, David Smith, me, you, possibly Andrew Dibb. Andrew did not. I don't think Andrew went with that, but I think that was the crew. I mean, it could have been a Carson Mendez, but I'm not sure.
Oh man, like hopefully he won't listen. He probably will. But remember, like code name Marcin Kendez.
Roughly, yeah. I mean, that's not even.
Sure.
It's just the swap of the first and last. Man.
Well, I'm thinking about early morning practice, and Bristol is okay. King is, we'll say, in a more urban part of Bristol, and the guys' team. I'll just say it, the women's team. We stayed on campus for those early morning runs, and we would just we wouldn't venture out at all. But you guys were like going to like Main Street, and you were getting all over the place, and I would be terrified. Like, what is Main Street like at 6 a.m. in the morning?
We were about it on there. Getting like Manna Bagel ready, really. I mean, there were some people like when you'd run through, and I think being a young male, definitely we're lucky we don't have to deal with like at the most benign, like a cat calling or unwanted attention. But generally speaking, there was no one there really downtown. And it was well lit enough. There were some sketchy parts, like when we run up the hill, like doing that now, like I was just asking to get winged by a car, but
gosh, yeah.
If nothing else. But I think it was super cool. I loved running down there because it was so much warmer than anywhere else where I used to do morning runs. Like it was warmer than where I was living up in Hagerstown at first. And even thinking back to Adams, it was way warmer than we used to do like morning practices there. It was like pretty temperate, but that's where I started like doing doubles and morning practices. And it was super, super cool. It was fun to get the whole team out there and really bond. It was more or less just bonding through some chunk miles.
Yeah. I want to transition to Adams State, but I have to just mention when Div like shaved his hair like down the center, and he had like the old man.
Yeah. And he dyed it red, didn't he? Dye it red too, and they had like
dye it red. You went like platinum blonde. Did he?
Yeah, I just bleached it. I'm good for that once every few years. I feel like it's in my 3-year-old. It's feeling my last time I could do it. Last time I did it was like for COVID, the lockdown for that, which was forever ago. But
I think it's time to do it again, don't you?
For sure.
Yeah.
That seems to be a recurring pattern, unfortunately.
No, I love it. But yeah, that was a crazy memory. I remember tapping on your window late at night, and I was wearing a gorilla suit. Do you remember that?
Roughly, yeah.
Like I don't know. I was borrowing it from
the
Kendra.
basement.
Why did Kendra have a gorilla suit, and why did I feel the need? There's a lot of information there. People, we don't care about any of these people you guys are talking about, but I don't know. I dig it, and hopefully other people will in some capacity. Maybe like the 6 people we've mentioned will be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but okay. Why did you just why Adams State? Why did you leave King?
I remember like when I was first getting into college running, I knew I wasn't good enough for I didn't want to go to a mid-major D1 because I said, what's the point of that? I can run at that level in Division II or where have you, right? Like it's just you're kind of getting a name. It'd be a cool school, but I wanted, if I went to a mid-major, I wanted something with more of a culture of running. And I remember leaving high school, I was like, man, it's a wild team. Like they had 3 freshmen who ran like 13:50 that year. Division II rules are a little bit looking back on things. They're a little older, but still, I was like, holy moly, they're so fast. They're faster than a lot of Division I teams, even, I imagine, because they were at like Mount Sac or Stanford Invite. I was like, that's kind of cool. I've never heard of this. And it's like Colorado. I thought all Colorado would be like CU, which will transition over to that. Alamos was nothing like that. But that's kind of what I wanted from a school. And then I think I went through a breakup. and they had Peter had sent me this summer training program that was led by Damon Martin. It was like a class or something. I hardly would call it a class, but it was high altitude training class. So you learn about the physiology of training at altitude and what, like, not like a deep dive into EPO, but you could go into some of like that. Like, this is what happens in the red blood cells. This is what happens to your system. So there was like 2-session classes, and Peter was like, oh man, you should do this if you want to get good, like to train at altitude and to do that. And I mean, I loved it so much, as bad as it sounds. I never came back. The team I had meshed with was awesome. The culture surrounding it, everyone was there for one team, one dream, right? Like, we all wanted to win a national championship. We all wanted to be an All-American. The team was very big. It was like 50 people, and it was kind of cliquey, but anything with 50 people, I think, will naturally have subsets and people under that. But it was really the culture that drew me there. I mean, I remember reading about it too and running with the Buffaloes, because they like kind of chased after CU, and you're like, what is this school? I've never heard of an Adams State. And that's kind of how I remember finding it. And then when they had that program and Peter said I should go to it, I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll try it. I've got nothing else going on this summer. And I just remember it was like just an instant mesh. I'm like, I don't want to leave here. This is so cool.
But Peter's like kicking himself. Like, why did I share
He wasn't happy. He was not
happy.
I lost
imagine.
eligibility. I had to redshirt, which was probably a good thing just to develop more miles, but I was not released for a year. And like we had some.
Why did you have to redshirt? Like,
he wouldn't release me. So
no.
like,
Wow.
King would not release me. So if I didn't have a year of eligibility, because we weren't redshirting, that was part of the reason that I left King as well. It's like I said to Peter, I want to do 5 years, just because you develop more. I wish I hadn't used it as a freshman, right? Because I wasn't running fast, get into mileage, yada yada. But I digress on that. But that was part of the reason. And I wanted to increase mileage and do some other things and take some bigger shots. But when I left, he wouldn't. He and the athletic department wouldn't release me. So that means I would have to sit out a season, and he wouldn't release me for cross country or track. So it would have been a whole year that I would have sat out. But it worked out well because I had red shirting. I hadn't been injured. I hadn't had any issues with it. So I was like, get to spend another year.
I'm sorry.
But it was dramatic. Because I remember Damon was the head of USATF CCA, or like that governing body, and like Peter filed a complaint. And I was like, well, it's a bummer. It just goes basically to Damon Martin. So it was like this loop of kidding. They would kick rocks with open-toed shoes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like you as an athlete are your own entity, and you should be able to decide where you go and when. But I don't know the legalities of all the NCAA fun stuff. So
I think he was definitely upset with me leaving. I think there was just a little bit of both. I mean, but to your point, like, I had nothing. I don't have anything to disparage the program. Like, I think it got me into the great spot, but I just wanted something more at that time, and like more of a culture around running. I think, because like when we were there, I mean, there were like how many kids on it? We barely had a full team.
Yeah, basically, like one person, somebody was hurt. We had one extra person. So
like, as fun as it was, and like you and I think we're on more of the serious end of things. Even like Spencer, who was faster, I think like you and I took it a lot more seriously, and those attention to details of getting morning mileage in, doing core with a group of people and not just myself, doing X, Y, or Z. Like, there were at least 10 or 15 people at Adams all doing that, right? Because everyone wanted to be good. It was that culture, and that was super. I feel like Peter was almost there with culture, but we just didn't have enough people there at the time to kind of. We were on the front end of it too, which was kind of cool, of developing that program. And I mean, that was a big difference. Like, Adams had decades of just like national championships or All-Americans. So like the culture kind of creates itself once you have a big kind of flywheel going, I would say. But at King, we were at the cutting edge of that, which it seems that Peter eventually left. So I mean, all things ended, all's well that ends well. But I don't know. That's kind of what got me to Adams, was the culture. That was the biggest sticking point. I was just like, wow, everyone's here for the same goal, right? Like, we're having fun along the way. We enjoy racing. We do that, but we're all here. Like, no one bats an eye. I had a group of 3 or 4 people to run 20 miles with on Sundays, right? Like, everyone ran 15 to 20 miles. it was Dixon and I sometimes at 15 miles at King, and it got lonely, right? Like it was just, I just couldn't imagine like having that many people. I was like, this is crazy. Like this is what I imagine it would be like to go to Oregon or something, or like these other high tier programs, which I'm sure it's way different. But like when you hear of culture, that's kind of what I wanted.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, post collegiately running now, X years removed from that time, it is. I wouldn't even know what it would be like to run with another human at this point because I have not run with anybody in like years. So
Same. I maybe run with one or two people and not super consistently.
mhm.
I imagine that I would love to have a team again, but maybe I'm just so not antisocial, so avoidant of group, like running down. I haven't done it in a while. That I
Dude, it's okay.
rewired my brain.
I don't know why. It's just kind of like I'm so like I wouldn't even say rigid with my schedule. It's just like I'm gonna want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to have to like change it for other people. And that's so selfish sounding. And I'm kind of probably the reason that I, haven't excelled more. But I don't know. You just kind of get stuck in your ways. But
Yeah.
at Adams State, just for people who are listening and they're like, I have no clue about Adams State, even though they're like pretty well known in college running. But where exactly is that in Colorado? What's the elevation like? How would you describe the landscape?
Man, I had never coming from the East Coast when I first flew into Denver, and you look around Colorado, you're like, cool, mountains everywhere. Like you can see them from there. I was like, this is a city. There's roads. This is awesome. And then we drove. It's about 4 hours south, like southwestish of Denver. It's in a valley the size of Rhode Island, and it's the biggest town in that valley essentially, and it's about 5,000 to 7,000 people, so a very small town. But I remember driving out there, and we're like, oh, we're at the springs. This must be near it. And they're like, no, we got a bit to go. I was like, oh, we got to Pueblo. And they're like, no, we're halfway there. And things kept getting more arid. So like really deserty, less people, less roads. And you're like, this kind of looks like a cartoon, like when you think of a desert. And then we crossed over the Sangre de Cristos, the mountain range by us. And it's pancake flat at 7,500 feet above sea level, as far as you can see. No real trees, not a ton except near the Rio Grande where all the cottonwoods are, which is what Alamos's name means. But just pancake flat desert, high alpine desert. So it would get wicked cold in the winter. Like I think when I was there, it got down to 35 below. It had like the coldest land temp there. But I mean, it was just awesome for training.
Yeah, I'm thinking that would be amazing because like you're always getting the benefits of altitude, but you don't have to like constantly be on mountainous terrain. You're like, there's flat. So your recovery runs are like, I have all this flat land to run on. Like where I'm at is moderate elevation, but it's like mountainous everywhere. And it's so hard to try and have a run that you don't cook yourself because you're not
Yeah.
clapping the entire time. That sounds very idyllic and I'm jealous, but that is wild. 35 below. That's crazy. Was the snow really bad too, or would it just get really cold?
Desert. We barely got any precipitation. Like it was rare that we would get snow at all or rain or anything. We'd get like, it would be like icy in the air if it was like somewhat humid and cold, but like it rained in the summer for like 30 minutes every day between 3 to 4. And then that's when I would usually go after my double because temperature would drop. But I just remember that. But you don't get much there. It's just a brown dirt looking desert. The coolest thing I ever saw out there, though, it's right near the Great Sand Dunes. So the biggest sand dunes in North America, and they were massive. So we'd run on them every once in a while, do stuff like that.
That's awesome. Wow. Do you have like, do you remember seeing other like professional runners, maybe ultra runners training out there? Was it kind of a hub for distance running?
No, not necessarily, because Alamos is so far removed from airports and like travel ability. Like you're just in the middle of nowhere. So we'd see every once in a while, maybe an ultra runner. That was a little bit after my time that they started coming there a little bit more. But realistically, most people were in Boulder. It's just so far removed from the rest of the world, and it's such like a trip to get there. And for all its like physiological advantages, you can't get down from elevation. So like we would have a hard time trying to hit certain neuromuscular like paces because it's just so high up like you couldn't turn over to experience like what running 4 minutes in a mile would be, but maybe for like a quarter or something like that. But it was cool though. It was cool. It was definitely, I wish there were more pros and stuff there, but it was just too far removed.
Would you guys like that's a sorry. Would you guys go down to lower elevation for training camps and stuff to just kind of work on that neuromuscular development?
Up. We would go up higher. So, I mean, there wasn't a ton lower than us. Like Albuquerque was at a mile, and that was 3 hours from us. Denver was about, and Pueblo were about a mile, and that's about 3 hours from us. So, like, we were at a really high elevation plateau. That's why, like, places like when you hear about Flagstaff, that's like the magic of that. It's about the same height, but in elevation, but in 3 hours, I can go to Phoenix and rip like a sea level workout. I could even go down to 4,000 feet in Sedona. Like, but that was the issue with Alamosa. So another thing, if you live there for a long time, your body kind of registers that as baseline. So you would actually have to go up higher in the mountains, like reboost it. But as soon as you would do that, it kind of recirculates. So we would go to like at least once a week, 8,000+ feet to go running there, like at a mountain run for a midweek long run.
That was awesome. Wow. Yeah. I'm thinking about our like go-to Virginia Creeper Trail that we hit up.
Oh, don't underscore that. That's still, even being in Alamosa and all places, that's still a top 3 place that I've ever trained. That, the C&O Canal, and I love Alamosa. The Creeper Trail's special.
Yeah, it is special.
No altitude, unfortunately. That would just be too good. That would be way too good.
I'm thinking, yeah, that would be way too good. What, like Bristol, in my mind, I'm thinking is probably what, 12 to 1,500 feet altitude, really? If that. I don't know, but did you feel really awful, I guess, when you first went to that summer program?
I don't ever remember like feeling bad at altitude, but like by then I wasn't really working out, like doing hammer, like hard workouts, but we would start off with like free fartleks or something like that. So you kind of got used to it. And it wasn't in the teens mileage, like the high mileage point. I was still doing Peter's training mostly. So it was like curtailed a bit, but I never had an issue with training. Working out, it took me definitely a little bit to get used to. I never raced well at altitude, though. My God, it was so hard to race at altitude. I just never seemed to be able to not go into oxygen debt at some point. It was weird. Racing at altitude was the weirdest thing.
I don't even. I know that we both went to nationals at Spokane. Like it would have been our senior year, I guess. But you stayed a year after, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't remember what altitude Spokane was at, but I bet it's not very much.
No, I don't think it's like an altitude conversion. It was bad when they would have like nationals at CSU Pueblo for like most schools because it's still pretty high. But like I remember us in Western would be like, absolutely, this is like 2,000 feet lower. Like mine was at the same level. You're just like, this is it. But I still didn't even like that. That's still like, even at 5,000 feet, it was like tough. It was tough.
Well, okay, between cross country and track, which would you say is your forte, or is it kind of dependent on the year and what you're going through, or do you have a clear favorite?
Cross country was always my clear favorite. I mean, just the camaraderie of the team was super cool. Like 7 people all doing it. I was a 10K guy from the get-go, so like it was right in the distance that I like. But you would still have like your top milers with you, which was super fun. Like it was just really, the camaraderie of that was awesome. Plus, I think at track, it was harder for us to like try to win nationals or anything because, you know, there's a lot of other events and distance stuff. And we had an all right field team and sprints team, but like knowing that you could count reliably on your top 7, it's like, yeah, man, this is so cool. Like that atmosphere was super cool. And I think also we would go more places. We would go to mountain runs, and it just seemed to be like track was just more around the track. So it was never as like, I feel as fun as cross country. I always loved cross. There was nothing like it.
Yeah, it took me like 4 years of developing as an athlete before I figured out that, okay, in order to not, you know, immediately suck at cross country and have a good cross country season, you know, I mean, I did train over summer. Obviously, I did everything that I was supposed to, but just to get like, I don't know, that baseline fitness so that your cross country season wasn't basically like a base training season for like indoor and track. That took me a good minute to get that, but I do love cross country. It's, yeah, my favorite, just because the track, it like tears me up too. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It was just super, and I would get inside my own head. Like if splits started going off or whatever, I feel like I pushed the envelope a lot more in track. And it was more like business, where cross country was like, I don't know. And I think that's why I was better at cross, is just it was less stressful because, lack of a better term, flowy of a season. It was just a cool season, I always thought.
Yeah, people listening are like, okay, you were in college. Did you actually do any kind of academic work? And I mean, yeah, I busted it pretty hard with the books, but what about you?
Yeah,
How did that go for you?
definitely. I mean, academically, Adams is not known for its most rigorous course load. It is what it is. But I think yeah, I mean, I always had a pretty good average. I think it was on the dean's list roughly most of the times. I liked it. I liked it. I think if nothing else, college taught me to like learn how to research and like learning for learning's sake.
Did
That's
you, I mean, I'm not like trying to like squeeze information out of you, but like, did you ever feel like with running and with school, like, oh my gosh, there's not enough time for everything? Did you ever feel like the balance was really hard to achieve?
No, I think runners though are a different breed when it comes to academics and whatnot. Like I feel like they always have a higher cumulative GPA. Like I feel it goes somehow hand in hand with the sport a lot of times. I never felt super stressed out, but I mean I wasn't a nursing major. I wasn't anything that was super like on my feet all the day because I wanted to be there for athletics, as bad as it sounds, and like a
It's not
degree.
bad. No, you're like, it's so hard because you have to go to college to get a career, and but this is like that's your peak time to be fit and everything, and that's being disproven too. Like people are being fit and winning races at different ages,
Yeah.
but it's just tough. But I remember at King we were encouraged like don't do anything where you're what are they called, the hours where you're not in class.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called, but you're like experiential, I guess, where
Hmm.
you have to literally go to whatever location, like athletic training, for example. You're going to like football games and all sorts of
Yeah.
traveling a ton. Nursing, you're like you said, on your feet all day, and it's very rigorous and just the time demands. And then like education, you're having to go observe in classrooms and stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was kind of you really you have to make a choice of do you want to prioritize your athletic career at that point, or I didn't have a desire to go in those fields, so it wasn't a
Yeah.
big deal. But anybody, I guess, listening who's kind of thinking, oh, I don't know what to do, like just be aware that will come up.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always I feel those people who were like good nurses and wanted to do it, I think you're always going to have to pay. You'll figure it out. I mean, there were plenty of nursing majors on both teams that I've been on. It just wasn't a career path for me. I took psych, man. It's easy going. Like
It's easy going.
it's a skill enough. Like
Mhm.
never worry too much. I think there was a runner. Um, I don't know. We always, I mean, that I remember both teams. Adams we didn't have as good as a GPA, but like King, the guys were all seemed to be fairly intelligent enough. Like no one was ever like failing classes or anything. Like on both teams, I think I can count on one hand like two people who that I remember like were ineligible from like academics. So I don't know if that's like a running thing or for some
It
reason.
is, yeah.
Because other sports, like they definitely are like, man, this is tougher, like to go to class and do all this. I'm like, I don't know, like
No, not really. I don't know.
it doesn't seem like the rest of my team has this like hard experience either. Like they weren't all the brightest ever, like, but like everyone really got by except two people, and you're just like, huh,
Yeah, that
I
makes
don't
sense.
know. So college experience was really cool. I thought it was awesome that like you got to learn and whatnot, but I was definitely there for athletics.
Mhm. So after college, it's like go into post collegiate stuff if you want.
Yeah,
You had a stint of like professional running, and I'm not downplaying that by saying stint. I don't even know how long
got
you did
injured.
it for.
Yeah, a couple years I was running with Hoka, which was super fun and cool. But that was kind of the tail end of everything. After Adams and whatnot, post collegiately, I got into thinking more is better all the time and not listening to my body. So then I started compounding stress fractures, getting issues. I mean, right when I got out of college, I think I was like the fastest running I was doing, and I would always be like, oh yeah, I'll transition to the marathon next year after I get a couple of these more races under my belt. But then eventually next year's stopped. And just got into running for the fun of it now. I mean, I think I'll always be somewhat competitive, but after college, I thought I wanted to be a coach because like at that point, all the role models were coaches, and you know what I mean? Like what's a healthier marriage after like an athletic career than coaching? But I never really got into it. But that was the time that I got into like run specialty, like where people shop for running gear. And it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, like helping people and like educating like people about running. Like, I mean, you were dealing with such a neophyte of like runners there. And it was really cool to help people along their way and be like, this gear can certainly, it wouldn't hurt. It's better than coming in like these flip flops or whatever you're in or whatever. And it's just like, really, it was cool to just like educate people about running, which always came to like us second nature, I would imagine, you know, like we had been doing it for so long that you get in your own head and you're like, oh, this is intrinsic. Everyone knows this. And it's like, no, not necessarily.
Yeah. Neophyte, somebody went to college. Look at that vocabulary. Loving that. But also, I totally agree. I get in my head, I'm thinking, everybody knows about running and, you know, easy runs and do that and don't do workouts back to back, things like that, that you're like, no duh. But I'm not saying no duh in a depreciating, that's not the right word. I can't think of it. Anyway, in a bad way. But yeah, not everybody knows about running, and we've been doing it for so long. And I can see that in your role now, being kind of this educational expert. That sounds pretty awesome. And I do think that with your psychology background and your running experience, that you would have made a really great coach too. But I don't know. It's hard to like get into that. And
it is. And I feel if you're not passionate about it, why are you doing it? Because like every coach that I've ever had was bloody passionate about it, right? Like they really helped me go along my way. And I think developing younger people, humans, is like, you got to be passionate. You got to help create that spark and really do it. And I think I was just like, also like, I could help people who could see things not necessarily my way. I was so young. I didn't have like a large like collection of thoughts. So I just learned one way. So nowadays I think it would be a little different, but I never, and the collegiate side of things too, there's a lot of politics, a lot of stuff that I didn't know about, like when we were talking about transfer rules, and you have to keep like up to date on that. It was like reading law textbooks or something, man. I was just like subsection of this of the NCAA. I'm like, my eyes would just glass over, and you're like, that's probably an important thing that I'm going to get tested on here after this. Like, but I just wasn't that passionate about it, I guess.
That makes sense. But what kind of, I'm thinking of Peyton Hoyle. Did you guys?
Oh yeah,
you
we're coworkers.
Yeah, is that kind of like the genesis of your current career? At what point did you guys cross paths?
So I'd say I interacted more with Peyton. Like I started in run specialty around like 2015. But I met Peyton around 2018, 2019. And he was he was in the DC area, and I was in New England, and I was a tech rep and then sales rep. And he trained me in a lot of stuff. I would come to like DC, him and Chris Treblecock, my other coworker at the time. But it's such a small world because Peyton, as you know, is from that general area. And like, he had run at, where did he run? I forgot the NAI college. It was like in King's Conference before they transitioned to D2. So it was like all these small concentric circles that like we were like in overlapping, and like he knew really well.
Like 5 minutes, and then I like screwed up my body. So yeah, that's
like cool. Even you and Lily, like my best friend from high school.
I know.
Wait, what? Like I've never knew Peyton at any point, but like it seems like I could have known him for like the better part of 20 years. He was like involved in my life on the side.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Michael Lilly, like at Zap. I remember we were at Pete and Zika's house, like celebrating the 4th of July, and I'm like texting you, like just hanging here with Lily, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, what's he up to now?
He is a coordinator for like surgical residents in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. So St. Luke's up in Bethlehem.
Wow, that sounds quite serious. Does he keep up with running still?
Not too much. I think he runs like around 20-ish miles a week, a little bit. He got a little bit more banged up after his stint at like Zap and stuff like that. He had some coordination issues. So he kind of just backed off of it. He could only run so much, and now he just does it kind of for fun.
Yeah, I remember we have where I live, Banner Out, Flowing Rock area, Boone, Linville is actually where the race that I'm talking about. It's called the Bear, and it's like
Yeah.
a female race. Yeah.
Shout out to Peyton's book. He talks about like that
Really?
race, like the year that Lily and him and some people, I think basically the
They
year
race
you were
it
there.
together?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's
Yeah.
crazy. All these
Isn't it nuts?
connections. That's crazy. Yeah, they don't even do that race anymore.
No, they don't. I'll shamelessly plug Peyton's book. He talks about it in there. I was just like, oh my God, I know this from like somebody else's angle. And like it checks out. It was so weird. It was just weird reliving like your best friend from a different perspective race, but it was crazy.
Well, what is the name of his book?
Oh boy. Ebon Shades.
Say it again.
Ebon Shades. EBON Shades.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. And obviously, the Bear race plays into that. Do you know the basic premise or just what genre it would fall into?
He calls it, I think, like Southern noir, but I'd say like it follows like a detective and like a crime, and like it's just a good whodunit kind of novel. It's awesome with some running in there. It's heavy in the running if you like running stuff.
I love it. Those are all my favorite things. Put them all
Absolutely.
together. That's magical. That's great. Good for Peyton. And yeah, wow. Is there anything else that you want to discuss in terms of like the brands you represent, or
I mean, brands, I'm an independent sales rep, so I'm essentially just a gun for hire at any point of that. So my brand portfolio could change, but I definitely love my Features socks. That's the big plug I'll give for that.
Features were very, very comfortable.
They're the best.
Feature sock. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing I would say is just like the most I learned from running is to not like remember your why. I think when I stopped falling in love with it, I got more injured and I was just doing it to do it, right? And that burnt me out and that was terrible. I think nowadays, like I'm training less volume and just getting back into it here and there, but like just trying to remember why you love it and why you're out there in the first place. It's such like a freeing activity that almost anyone can do. And I think that's the coolest thing. I'll never know what it's like to play for like professional football or soccer or whatever have you, right? But it's very different. It's not super different for running. Like your effort is your effort. Like you can line up at like the Bear with a professional, right? Like from Zap, but it's also people just for the Scottish Highland Games, right? North Carolina, just a random person from that area. Like you're both going through it. It's such like an intrinsically human thing that like, it's just a super cool sport, and always try to remember your why and not to overdo it. I feel that's the next thing is like, it's addicting to always do more, but like everything in moderation, right? Is a good thing.
Do you feel comfortable sharing your why with our audience?
Yeah, certainly. I would say it was dare I say like the Pirates of the Caribbean, but like a sense of freedom, right? Like I wanted to leave my hometown. I wanted to go to a bigger area. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to meet other runners, and it was like a path to do that. It also was like a big social outlet for me. In high school, I don't know if I would have made nearly as many friends, or even in college, right? Like, but being on that team, it was a group of like-minded people. And even as an adult, you can go to your run store, you can go to a run club. Like every city has like some semblance of a few people who run. Like it's just such an awesome sense of community. And I think that's why I would do it. The community and just like the freedom of being able to step away from my office and go jog in between an email or do whatever. It's just like recenters you, it regrounds you, keeps you just back into things.
Show me that horizon. Yeah. Love
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any kind of races that you have in mind, or you're just chilling and enjoying the process right now?
I mean, I'm chilling and enjoying the process. I seem to, when I get target a race, I really will ramp up over to a point of overdoing it sometimes. But I'd like to get into a couple marathons. I think I'd like to run a marathon next year. I just don't know. I mean, I've raced so much in our lives. We've raced a lot. And like the idea of just like hurting for hurting's sake sometimes of like racing, I don't know if I can do that again. But that's why I think like trying a different avenue of like some trail races and doing some marathoning, I think would be super cool, I would imagine.
Like us being in the running industry, people are always like, oh, you must race all the time and everything. And I'm like, I love the running industry, but I am so gun shy to sign up for a
No.
race, And
Though I think that's part of like, I don't know. I feel like both Peter and Damon had like make your races count. Like we didn't race a ton at either one of our institutions. So I think like that was also what we were trained and like brought up in too. Of like I just remember I'd have to have like a perfect race. And I read a book about Newberry Park High School, that team. And essentially like everyone thinks that you're going to have a perfect day when you're racing. And this, I wish I had read this 10 years ago. It hadn't been written then, but like generally speaking, it's going to hurt. It's going to be a tough day. It's not going to be perfect conditions. Focus on that. Focus on like how you can do that, not like racing just because like, oh, this and this is aligned. Like, just don't lose the plot. You got to dig deep and do it. So I wish I raced more, but who knows? I still always wait for the perfect time in racing, and I don't think there is such a perfect time. I think the perfect time is the moment you have, right? Because it's not always given.
Yeah, it's like when you've had races in your past where it was like it didn't hurt at all and you flowed and it was just smooth and magic, and it's like you're afraid that if you race again and it doesn't feel like that, it's kind of like, oh gosh, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself. But
and you can still run fast even when it's not flowy and smooth, right? Like like most of my races didn't feel flowy or smooth, but those were like generally where I would PR and stuff like that. And it's just like learning how to keep your hand in the fire when it's tough. And I think that was the coolest thing about circling back to why. I think that's what it taught me a lot in life is like kind of stick it out, grind through it, like not in an unhealthy way, but like really, batten down the hatches to get through whatever you're doing. It teaches you like it hurts, but it's not going to be for forever, right? Like at the end of 10K, it's the end of 10K.
mm-hmm.
That's it. That's your 30 minutes of like working or whatever have you. So it's like that. I think that's what it taught me a lot of too, is just like doubling down on things in a healthy way, right?
I think about when I DNF'd a 10K, I think we were like Lansing, Michigan. I don't even remember the name of the school, but that was like the worst experience. Like you feel like such garbage after. You're feeling so bad in the race. And I did have an injury that I was like, I'd taken so much ibuprofen and it was still bothering me or whatever, but I was like on the opposite end of the track from Peter Dalton, and I just like limped off and away I went into the night, and such shame. It was horrible.
Yeah, 10Ks though are tough because they're always like late at night, so like there's no one there. You just are like, well, I guess I'm gonna get like nothing's open either. I guess I'm getting Denny's with my coach, who I hope is not mad at me because like we're in like California or like Michigan, and I've like just limped off the track, and you're like, this is gonna be awkward. Like there's no one there. Oh, so as bad as I thought.
You're like fly under a bush and die. I don't know.
Man, 3Ks were that way with me. I always thought it was a 3K that would just like be so tough.
3K is fun though. Did you ever do steeple?
No, God no. I can barely jump over like those things that you're supposed to put high knees over.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine getting over steeple. I'd just scorpion.
Yeah, that'd be horrible. But yeah, do you have any desire whatsoever to do any kind of ultra racing? Is that
yeah, there's definitely one that I would be interested in. It's the JFK 50 mile. It's like I think the oldest ultra race in the US, but we used to always support it from our Williamsport High School. And I remember watching these people and thinking, they're nuts. Who would want to run 50 miles? And it's not like I have a burning desire to run 50 miles, but like I want to do that because it's in our area and like I've grown up around it. So I don't want to say I want to do ultras, but I want to do that specific ultra. And it like runs a lot on the C&O Canal path, and I like that. And like I like South Mountain where it goes through the AT there. But man, I don't even know how you'd go about running 50 miles. I can't even imagine it in your brain.
It is this like complete hybrid of what you imagine running to be, because you're like, in my mind, I'd be like, I want to do at least like a slow trot the whole time. And it's like, oh man, you got to walk and you got to eat and you got to eat so much. And it's just basically training your body to not like, get sick because you're eating and drinking so much and there's so much sugar and there's so much like stickiness and sweat. And I don't know.
Oh.
And I mean, kudos to you to wanting to tackle that. I hope you go for it.
I
But
don't see it. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I mean, that's the only ultra that I could do. I think the marathon is long enough, honestly, for me, but I think it's a cool distance. I definitely respect the distance and, you know, the races that have it. It's wild to me. It'd be really cool. I'd like to do some like world majors. Those would be cool. They're so bloody expensive though. And then like, if I travel, generally I don't want to like vacation and race because once again, like I'm there to race and it's like,
I know.
also, if I only get one vacation a year or whatever, it's like I don't want to feel like shit after I've run a marathon and I'm like beat up and like, oh man, now I'm here in like Berlin. Like I want to sightsee and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. Marathon, and I think will be the next one for me. Another marathon one day.
Well, I mean, I hope you have success in whatever your endeavors, entail here on out. Perhaps you want to just chill and run to your heart's content for a little while more, a lot more, but you have the freedom to do that, and freedom is your why. So
Woo, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like that's why I sometimes try not to set. Now that I have no real goals and stuff, like it just would wrap me around that. If I got injured, it would derail me, right? Like, but sometimes there's beauty in monotony, right? As they say. So,
I was thinking about the beauty and monotony today. I have like a 1/4 mile gravel road outside my house, and darn if I haven't done like 2 hours on it today, just back and forth, back and forth. And it's just like, I'm okay with this. And it might be so boring to some people, but like, I'm like hearing the wind and birds and stuff. And I spent a winter on a treadmill, and I'm like, get me off the treadmill. I used to love the treadmill, like take
I
my
did too.
I know. And I have seasons of life where I'm like, I love the treadmill. I just want to like watch some YouTube or listen to some music, and just like enjoy it. But I'm at this point now where I'm like, I have got to have like outside crunching under my feet. So it's crazy. What stage of life are you in?
I would say I'm definitely outside mostly. I run the same bloody loops and variants of now where I'm living in West Virginia. There's not a ton of runability there, and I'm not in a lot of mileage. So I'm like, I'm not going to drive like an hour, total trip for like a 30-minute run. Maybe I will on a weekend if I have some time. And it's like now that it's nice weather too. But boy, back to that beauty and monotony, like I just love running my same loops. Like I like my loops. I like the consistency of it. Maybe I'm a creature of habit, that means, but it is what it is. Though I will say to your point about treadmills, I love a good treadmill.
You love a good treadmill. I remember it was years ago. You like gave me a call and you're like, I'm gonna do a treadmill run and you want to talk. And I was like, sure. So yeah. But
still one of my guilty pleasures is a lot of times, like since I travel a lot, is to go out and find new places to run because there's no better way to see an area than to run through it, right? But man, there's nothing like a good old fashioned just hotel treadmill run. The weight room's way too warm. You watching crazy kids at the pool, and you're just like, I'm gonna jog on a treadmill, I guess now, and people are just looking at you like you're crazy. But I love it.
Yeah, same here. I've been in the hotel, been on the treadmill, and it's been like random people coming in, and it's been like 70 degrees, and I'm like dying. But yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, I don't want to keep you because you're a busy guy, but Naseem, thank you so much for talking with me today, being on this podcast. And I think we'll have to have you back because we just got too much stuff to talk about and nobody really cares, but I enjoy it. So why not,
Absolutely. I agree. Thanks for having me. And I look forward if we do it again, I look forward to it.
Cool. I will let you know. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.